Hi, everybody. This is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. I'm at home, and I figured I'd make you guys a quick video while I wait for the parents to come back. I have a funeral to go to tomorrow, but right now I'm enjoying the snow and the increase of corona cases. But there are quick updates to provide you guys. As we're building our new marketing and PR machine, I fill in where I can. And one of the areas where I'd like to fill in is to tell you a little bit about some updates. So first off, I noticed on our Reddit that there's some inaccurate reporting on the amount of commits we've been doing for Cardano. What's really frustrating is that a lot of these websites that track commits to the Cardano project, unfortunately, are tracking the old Cardano SL repo, which is deprecated code, which is actively being replaced this month. So we've been doing all of our work in different repositories. So if you're tracking the old repo, there's nothing there. So there's already 1,561 commits this week, just this week, which is sometimes more than some projects have in a month, in some cases year. So if you go to cardanoupdates.com, that's a really good site that seems to be tracking everything accurately. Highly recommend it. There are other places, and hopefully we'll be able to pull those things into the update of the Cardano Foundation website. The other thing is that there's going to be a refresh of the Cardano Foundation website soon, probably in the next few months. And that's going to contain information for those who hold data, those who want to participate in the governance process, those who are developers, and also those who are going to be stake pool operators. So the goal is basically to have a one-stop shop where you go to one place and you can go through all those different funnels, and it'll be able to basically give you guys a lot of accurate information about each of those roles and actionable things that you can do. I've told the Plutus team that it's a high priority that we get the mock chain to a point where we can easily write smart contracts against it, so we can start getting developers into the ecosystem full time. So look for that, some updates coming soon. Aparna is now in charge of all the dates for when specific things for Cardano are shipping, and likely she'll probably announce such dates at her prerogative, but during the product management updates are good times to do that. So the next product management update for Cardano is going to happen roughly towards the end of this month. It happens every month. We did the last one at the end of February, so probably at the end of March. And a lot of really good information there. We're also welcoming Dor Gabish into the Cardano team. Dor is the product manager for Voltaire. There's a lot of research threads for Voltaire, and Voltaire is leaving the lab and it's starting to enter into implementation. So it needs a dedicated product manager at this point, and we've started that effort. So Dor will probably not this month, but the following month be part of the regular product updates that Aparna does. And he's also going to be representing IOHK at the SIP committee and helping us figure out how to structure update proposals and how to handle decentralized governance. So we welcome him aboard. He's a wonderful person, got a PhD in this topic. He worked at a lot of interesting places like DAOstack and otherwise. There's also now a dedicated product manager for Basho. Many of you read or at least saw the Hydra paper, and there's some Hydra releases coming, a blog post and an upcoming Cardano Effect episode specifically about it. But Rob Cohen is going to be the product manager for this, and he'll be on the Cardano Effect, and he'll also start giving updates once we have that out the door. We're also starting to put together some dedicated funding for community-led construction of what we term to be Cardano commercially critical infrastructure, so CCCI. So commercially critical infrastructure are things that Cardano needs for it, in our view, to be competitive against other cryptocurrencies. So we're getting to the point now that Shelley's nearly out, to start building CCCI and getting it into the ecosystem so that when people start building dApps and they start deploying their experiences on top of Cardano, a lot of these things will be plug-and-play experiences. We've seen some examples of that in the DeFi space, like, for example, the existence of a stablecoin to varying degrees of success. The recent volatility shows that none of these applications are actually perfect, and a lot of them do suffer from some problems where they work until they don't, and when they don't, they cause catastrophic problems. So in addition to building good commercially critical infrastructure, it's important that that infrastructure work properly, the Cardano way, always. So the foundation will be making an announcement about CCCI in the coming months, but I figured I'd mention it now because it's pretty exciting that that process has started. And I do have a request to the community. There are two things that I'd like. If you're a stake pool operator, I think it's about time that we start formally introducing stake pool operators to the community, because very soon we're going to be launching Shelley, and it's good that people actually get to know who you are. So if you're willing to take the time to make a video about how long you've been running, your experiences with the ITN, when you joined Cardano, basically how large of an operation you have, why you created a stake pool, what you're doing with your fees, if you're just for profit or if it's for a particular cause, then just tweet that video to me and I'll be happy to retweet that for you. So basically a video, that kind of a format, and I'd love to see all of our stake pool operators do that. Second, if you have an opinion on commercially critical infrastructure of what we should put into that portfolio, and you actually think you'd like to build some of that for us, as I mentioned, the program is still being constructed, and the formal instructions will be posted at a later date about how to apply, and for the RFPs that get pushed through. But still, it is nice to start a discussion about it. I have my ideas. Our business analysts, of course, have their ideas. But this is another one of the things that is a lot of fun to crowdsource, because every now and then someone comes up with something you haven't thought about. So do get to the Reddits and let us know what you consider to be commercially critical infrastructure. We already have a lot of those checkboxes checked, for example, like explorers and so forth, and a multi-asset standard and a metadata standard, and we're having ideas about how to build a stable coin and an oracle and so forth. But think outside of the box. What would you consider commercially critical, not just for us to be competitive today, but competitive deep into the future, in the next 3 to 5 years? Crowdsourcing is a really good way of gathering information you didn't anticipate or expect. So look for that announcement. The ITN is still updating and evolving. 8.14 just came out. We released a video on it. Thank you so much for upgrading and updating. Most of our stake pools tend every week to get the new software. And we have seen a massive decline in the amount of tickets over the last 3 weeks related to network issues and stability issues. It seems like the ITN is finally starting to stabilize, and people are finally starting to get a reasonable user experience with the ITN. Not all users, but definitely some users are. And actually the majority of users, according to our statistics that we've collected. Every week, we also see encouraging improvements in the statistics of the ITN, from the total amount of ADA stake to the total amount of stake pools to the amount of active stake pools to the chain quality, and so forth. So it's showing an increasing level of maturity and competency with stake pool operators. And we had a great time in London recently meeting with some of the more prominent stake pool operators, specifically to get a representative sample of business and technical requirements from the community. So that was really nice to listen and see and learn from them and get a good sense of what should we prioritize as we get closer to the Shelley release. So things are definitely moving along and chipping away. And if you go to cardanoupdates.com, you can actually see how much work has been done in such a short period of time. And we're definitely getting into a nice release cadence with things. And it's good to see that the new product and project management processes are starting to gel a little bit. It's also nice that we finally have a CTO, Romain, at IOHK, and he's been doing a phenomenal job getting into the nitty-gritty details and helping me no longer be a CEO, CTO, and just focus on being a proper CEO. So I'm very glad to have that additional layer of support. And we've already seen considerable improvements in the speed of decision making, and also his ability to go as deep as necessary to get things where they need to go. So we're very happy to have him in the team. So overall, that's the update. Things are coming as always. We're still on schedule. Big product update at the end of the month. Hopefully some things shipping at the end of the month. Announcements, of course, are in Aparna's camp. Foundation's doing a lot of cool stuff. The SIP committee is one. The CCCI initiative is another. And they'll be making those announcements where and when they make sense, and of how they're going to work and what they're going to do. I have a request to the community. If you're a stake pool operator, tell us who you are. Make a nice little video, and I'll retweet it for you. Thank you for being part of the community. It means a lot to me. And also, if you have an opinion on what you feel is commercially critical infrastructure, do go to Reddit and start a conversation about it. Because now is the time to start brainstorming because things are coming so quickly. There is a big effort underway to redesign and rebuild the flow of information in the space and try to create a single source of truth. So hopefully Cardano.org can be a very rich website with most of the things that we need to talk about in one place. So that's underway. And we're still working very closely with a lot of exchange partners in anticipation for Shelley and also for the staking as a service components of that infrastructure. And I do believe a candidate has been selected for Ledger integration. So I think the foundation is going to announce that at some point and get a time horizon of when the upgraded firmware is going to come. So brief update, but I think one that's fun to always do. And always interesting. I'm sorry that conferences have been canceled. I was hoping to come to London next month for the ZK Proof Summit because we've just finished work on a new zero-knowledge proof called Sonics. We wrote the paper back in 2018, and we spent over 1 year implementing the paper, and we finally got it to a point where we feel comfortable and confident in it. It's a major upgrade over the zero-knowledge proof systems used by Zcash, and we were really excited to show it off in person. Unfortunately, the summit's been moved from an in-person summit to a digital summit. So I think maybe that means you guys can attend. So I'll talk to Tim and Rod to see if there's any way we can hopefully open up a live stream or something for our presentation so you can see what we've done with Sonics and see kind of our plans for zero knowledge throughout this year. But it's certainly a wonderful field to be involved in, and we're pretty excited about where that can go. We have another Ouroboros paper on the way. This is kind of the last major paper in the Ouroboros family. This paper deals with one of the lingering problems, which is spikes of dishonest majority. If you're a close reader of the Ouroboros Genesis paper, the Genesis assumption holds, assuming there hasn't been a 51% attack. Now, with this paper, we actually have a whole story about what does that actually mean and how can you recover from dishonest majority. This is a nice property of proof of work, and unfortunately, it's a very difficult without a checkpoint property to resolve in the proof of stake space. And so we finally managed to actually write something about it and have a discussion about how to think about it in both the proof of work and proof of stake cases. And this is kind of the last of the papers in the Ouroboros series. And now it's more of a question of cleaning and updating and optimizing as opposed to new research. So the first 5 years of proof of stake are basically done. There's still more work to do on Hydra. There's going to be a big effort to get Hydra to a prototype phase and gradually layer and graft it into the Cardano ecosystem. It's actually been custom built for the extended UTXO model, so it's going to be very difficult for EOS, Tezos, and Ethereum 2 to adopt this technology, which means that this is a unique technology to us. And I think currently we're the only cryptocurrency that can natively use it, which is awesome because we get all the acceleration, but through Hydra, we can still get interoperability with Lightning compatible systems. So that's going to be a fun thing to gradually pull into Cardano. As for other projects like Prism, they're definitely on schedule. And my hope is we can do a really cool, beautiful Prism presentation at the launch of Shelley. And the second half of 2020 is when Prism will be complete as a product. However, it already has some great functionality because of our relationship with Georgia using that framework for academic credentials. So real data, real students, real credentials on a blockchain. We've already gained a lot of experience from that knowledge, and we're slowly pulling Prism into the Cardano ecosystem. So having a native DID-based identity system is certainly a huge USP, and it's something we're pretty excited to bring to you guys as well. Now, there is an open question about what should we do with respect to the launch of Shelley? The original plan was to have a big event in Kyoto. Unfortunately, this whole global pandemic thing is making all big events a bit problematic for everybody. As many of you are aware, South by Southwest was canceled, as with the World Mobile Congress. I believe the NBA is suspending its season. So probably large events are counterproductive at this point. So I am looking into options about having a digital launch event where we can basically have a virtual conference. And there are some software providers that allow us to do this. And maybe it'll actually work out better because everybody can participate. So we will we will look into that, and we have a small group of people that are thinking about it, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can of whether that's possible or not. And and of course it'll be free to attend, but we would like to do something. Shelley is such a significant milestone for all of us, and it's really something we all collectively earned together. There's been a lot of pain, a lot of delays, a lot of issues to get to Shelley, mostly because of the significance of it, and really the amount of thought and careful engineering that went into it. And it will forever be the largest release in the history of Cardano. Moving beyond Shelley, a lot of things are more iterative than revolutionary, and they just bring those capabilities in. But Shelley was really the milestone for when the project became worthy of being a top 5 cryptocurrency and worthy of replacing Bitcoin. So I don't want to allow something as ephemeral as coronavirus to ruin that event for all of you. I would love for all of you to be able to participate in it. And so we're going to have to think very carefully about how we can do that in a way that has maximum impact. But it is something we're thinking very deeply about at IOHK, and talking to our partners at Emergo and CF about to do that. That said, if they still let me travel to Japan, whether we have a virtual conference or not, I probably will travel to Japan and go to Kyoto for the launch of Shelley, just because the Japanese community was there with us since day one. And to me, it feels philosophically important to show that sign of respect. I love Japan, and I truly think it's one of the best countries in the world, and it really is where Cardano was born. So it is super important, regardless of what's going on in the day-to-day, to give that community a pat on the back for their loyalty and faith, and for sticking with us for over 5 years. Symbols matter, and they certainly deserve more than their fair share of them. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to hear from you guys. And I look really forward to seeing these stake pool videos you make, if you make them. And as I said, I'll like them and retweet them. And it's a good opportunity for me to get to know you. And I'm really curious if somebody can create a map and actually put little pins on it and show where each stake pool operator is. It's nice to put faces and geographies. And I'd love to see people in South America and Africa and Southeast Asia and all across the world. And also, again, talk about your experiences, negative and positive. I don't really care. Just talk about what you learned and why you're doing what you do, and also what got you started with Cardano. So thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful day, a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next week.